back. We are reading from John. We're still in chapter 1. In fact, we're still in the first column of chapter 1, so just keep your pants on. This is a dizzying array of metatext, because he is talking about the biggest things, and I'm doing my very best to make it as small as possible. So if this is where you clicked in for whatever reason, thanks. Weird choice, but I'm making this as easy as I can, because what I'm trying to do is help you bypass joining a job that's going to tell you it's a career and require 50 years of your life from you, only to forget to join a religion at the same time and forget to get the 2 adulthoods that you need to have by the time you're frequenting a small town McDonald's with shit in your pants, forgetting the order that you've been making for 40 years. Very real concerns for me, for you. And part of my homelessness is that I've already done the child of man. I already did the child of God. I should be exalted and worshipped. I should be rich. I should be traveling the world doing speeches and presentations. I should be healing the sick with a touch. But I haven't spent my 40 days in the wilderness, so here we go. This is, I think, day 11. It's going great. It's fantastic, actually, is how well it's going. So long as I can, I need to generate just a little bit more heat inside my tent. But I can do that once I get about $60 together, so I can do my friggin' laundry, and then I can put clothes up to close up those vents. I'm going to read 14 again. We're going to read a lot of these passages multiple times because these authors were writing to educated people. They weren't writing for you. They weren't even writing for your pastor. They were writing for very well-educated people. And so each paragraph has many meanings, many hidden truths buried within it that you have to dig out and understand if you're going to move on to the next passage. That's why they're numbered even. 14. John 1:14. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. We have seen His glory as the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. Grace is a word which still lacks a definition. So what I want to do now...
Can I get you some more coffee, honey?
That would be amazing, actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, that was great. She offered me a refill on my coffee. That was great. I want to see if anybody but John has a lot of references to God. That's unsurprising. Yeah. The first use of grace, it looks like, according to this appendix of term, is in John 1:14 that we just read, and then after that you've got Romans, 2 Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, 2 Thessalonians, Timothy, Hebrew. Oh, I don't know what PT is. First PT and second PT. I don't know what those books are, but I can find them. Peter. That makes sense. I didn't know Peter wrote. I wonder if those were in Peter's name. We'll have to read those later, because those aren't Gospels. Those are evidently letters of Peter, and I thought Peter was illiterate. So that's interesting to me. But what this means is that this 1:14 right here, grace, this isn't the first introduction into the biblical canon of the idea of grace. And he differentiates it from truth by saying grace and truth. Lowercase truth. Now, I don't know if that's lowercase because of the translator or not. I don't have a copy of the Greek. I don't read or speak Greek well enough. Yet, I'm working on it. I have the time. Maybe what I should do is... live stream myself practicing Greek on Duolingo or something stupid like that.
There you go, hon.
Oh, thank you so
You
much.
used what you want, and there's your sugar.
Awesome. You're the best. Thank you.
Have a good day, babe. Bye-bye.
Yeah, she didn't have to do that. She doesn't know how to make coffee here, but you know what? I don't care. She knows she can tell I'm an old school industry. She did it diner style. You get to see me craft my coffee. This is old school McDonald's. I like the old style. Our world doesn't have nearly as much class or craft or care put into it on a personal level. We just want our coffee now. We don't want to take the time to make it myself. I was watching my buddy Mark Ambler of Kane on Twitter, one of the few people that I like anymore, even though even his shit gets on my nerves. Got himself into this maybe even weeks long argument over a documentary, maybe even a TED talk that he pointed to about the importance of the advent and ubiquitation is what I call it. I don't think that's a word anybody else has ever used. I think people would usually say proliferation, but when something becomes ubiquitous, it has not proliferated, it has ubiquitated. So the ubiquitation of the washing machine freed women up to get day jobs because they didn't have to spend all day every day in front of the washing machine. And now, there's nothing to that. I'm not trying to say there is. His argument is about what's going on in the UK with men demanding that men be allowed unique spaces, and I find all of that tedious and annoying because all men's rights is going to do for another decade, maybe another 25 years, is set men further back in the social sphere. So grace. Grace is separated from glory, and it's separated from truth. Mystical words in this same paragraph. Secret words. Words that have been abstracted beyond their syllabary definitions. Grace is a word which, to this day, I just demonstrated that it's introduced to the biblical canon in this book. And I've been trying to tell you that certain books, like this book, were included in the canon as library novelties more than because they could help the average reader or listener understand anything in a meaningful way. In fact, this Gospel of John, after the First Crusade, the Cathar Crusade, and then the persecutions of the Knights Templar and the witches of Europe, etc., this book, Gospel of John, should really be removed from modern canon. And eventually, I may have already read past the passage that proves what I'm going to claim about this book. But eventually we're going to talk about who the author is, the mystery author, who he is, who he's meant to be, at least who the voicing is. Because literary voicing is something that they understood for 1,000 years, up to this point. And so grace is a word that's been left undefined. And the people who tell you that it's defined tell you, well, go to De Trinitate by Augustine, because he wrote a whole book on the Trinity. He wrote a whole book about it, they say. Well, I read De Trinitate last year. I read The City of God and Confessions during 2020. I broke down and wept during Confessions multiple times. Beautiful, beautiful work. Only theological in that the man who wrote it became a saint later, was later regarded as a saint, but not a work of theology at all, a work of memoir addressed to God as the audience, but in that way profound and inspiring. A letter to God. You only mean God to read that. I don't know if he published it on purpose in his life, but I like to imagine in my head canon that he didn't publish that in life, and it was found in his stuff, and they went, this is too profound not to survive. This has to survive history. It was that good. Maybe I'll read it to you someday. I was that touched by it. De Trinitate is not that good. In fact, De Trinitate opens with a foreword telling you that if you can't understand the Trinity from reading John and reading Romans and Galatians and reading the books that are in the canon by that point, you're fucking retarded and stop talking to me. That's how he puts it. He's like, if you can't understand it after reading this, stop writing me letters. I'm not talking about it anymore. Now, he meant the Trinity, I'm not that. He also meant he meant the Holy Spirit. He meant the Trinity. He meant the Holy Spirit, which he also left undefined. And if you ever read the Council of Nicaea, study the Council of Nicaea, they didn't even address the Holy Spirit. They go into all this work to explain what the Son is, all this work to explain what the Father is, because they've got John to work from, but they didn't even touch the Holy Spirit. No touching. And so we might touch it if it's in John. We might not if it's not in John. I don't know what's in and what's not in John. What I'm telling you is that what I was told in De Trinitate, the fuck was not in De Trinitate. It was in Confessions. And that's the mind's eye. The mind's eye is not in De Trinitate. The mind's eye, the internal eye, the imagination, is in Confessions. What is in De Trinitate is a definition of grace, with which he says, well, grace isn't fortune, and it's not chance, but it's the space between them. So what that means is that grace is my favorite Chinese parable. I don't know if it's Buddhist or if it's just Chinese, and I want a cigarette, so come with. That boy tall. Tall. I wonder if that's what I looked like when I was overweight. Tall as shit, paunchy, pouchy, paunchy is when you got belly fat, right? I wonder if that's what I look like. It's weird how everybody here looks like they're wearing air tube. Not just at the McDonald's, like it's just like a. It's probably alcohol. Alcohol turns you into a water sack. You just carry all this fat around your midsection because of it. Alcohol is just awful. Hey, chicks, if you want to grow tits, just drink too much. Alcohol puts a pregnancy body on you, on girls. Sugar puts a, I don't know, sugar all goes, if you eat too much sugar, too many carbs, it all goes to your ass and thighs. So if you do both, which is interesting because alcohol is a sugar. So refined sugar goes to a different spot of the body, but There you go. If you want to grow a fat ass, eat a lot of carbs. What was I talking about? I came out of here because I had a big thought that I wanted to address while I smoked, and now I've just spoken, making you watch. Well, damn. The Backstreet Boys. I think it's the Backstreet Boys. We're playing. No, that was NSYNC. Anyway, I can't hear NSYNC.